Welcome to the second semifinal of the Premier Ultimate League Championship weekend between the DC Shadow not the Breeze, the DC Shadow, and the Indy Red. My name is Saul Yannick here with Mary Rippey. After an exciting first semifinal between Surge and Seoul, we will find out who is to meet the Surge tomorrow in the championship game. The Discraft Ultrastar is the official disc of the Premier Ultimate League. Discraft, the world leader in disc sports. This live broadcast of the Premier Ultimate League is brought to you by Breakmark Ultimate Apparel. Go to breakmark.com to place your next custom team order or check out the PUL Athlete Collab shops. Thank you to Salt Athletic and Athletic Brewing for partnering with us this championship weekend. We encourage those who are watching on the free live stream to donate with the QR code on your screen. Good afternoon, everybody. We are here in beautiful, sunny, and slightly windy Durham, North Carolina for the second semifinal. Mary, any specific things that you're looking out for in this matchup between DC and Indy?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing two teams run very disciplined offensive structures, slightly different defensive sets overall, but looking to have a really hard, gritty game. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this matchup.
Yeah, I think after a lot of sort of wide-open, free-flowing play in this first semifinal we saw this morning, this game, based on the way that these teams operate, promises to be a sort of more structured affair between teams very comfortable operating out of the backfield and generally living with a game built around their team structure and spacing as opposed to more of the run and gun style that we saw this morning. Now, that is usually with the large caveat for the DC Shadow, who wears number 1, Ashley Gentilette, but despite her record-setting attendance where she has never missed a game through 7 years of DC Shadow participation, she is busy at a wedding this weekend just hours away, and should the Shadow advance, she will be here for Sunday, but this is a groundbreaking and extremely relevant absence for her, although I'm sure everybody involved is perfectly understanding why she is not able to participate today.
Yeah, I think you'll be curious to see who takes on those assignments. I mean, Gentilette normally takes on the big bigs on the other team and does a very effective job, and then is also one of those players that'll stretch the field on the turn for that D-line. So very curious to see who's going to pick up that responsibility on both ends of the disc.
Usually we see Indy Red operating out of more of a traditional vert stack and Shadow with vert stack roots of their own, but they've been operating out of more of a split stack early on in this season, particularly with their O-line. Mary, what do you expect to see from these two teams structurally in terms of the ways that they are similar and the ways in which they are different?
Oh man, I was hoping you would ask me a fun fact question because I got those locked and loaded. Structurally, I mean, they both run pretty clean verts, spread overall, but typically a vert stack. Looking to engage, especially on the DC, that handler core does a lot of work, moving the disc laterally, connecting with folks downfield. And then also for Indy as well, very similar offensive mindset, possession-oriented, but moving with a lot of pace. Yeah, I got a question for you, Saul. I'm curious who you're watching this game. Who do you think is going to have a breakout game? If there's just one person you have to pick.
Yeah, so I'll give you one from each side. For Indy, give me 97 Eileen Beckett. If you are not aware of this player, you have not been following the PUL this year. She is a completely unbelievable athlete who has been putting her fingerprints all over the second half of this season for Indy, and I expect, especially in the absence of Gentilette, she will be the most dominant athlete on the field today. And from DC, give me Marika Korpinen. She's a defensive stalwart for them that they really like. Let's see if she can make an impact guarding some of these bigger handlers for Indy. As we get started with Loughran. Looking back to Tracy Lowe. Covered tightly. Breakthrow goes up, and immediate impact from the DC Shadow with a possible partial hand block on the far sideline. That looks like Kikuchi on the mark there. as we got Jackie Wang picking up. Power position to Jess O with a nice layout. He's got driver in the deep space. Swings back to Wang. Near side.
So we've talked a lot about structure for both these teams. I think one player who I think gives something a little different to the team is Jackie Wang. Definitely plays with a lot of intuition overall, so I'm curious to see how she helps marshal this D-line.
Jesso back to Amanda Murphy. Big time matchup with Rachel Mast there as it goes back up to Wang. Long upline looking for Murphy, just too far. Good looking possession there from the D-line for Shadow, but we see Jesso coming off after that big time layout on the long upline as Mueller checks in. And Indy will ride with these same 7. Oh, no. Eileen Beckett checking in for Saunders here.
Number 97, Eileen Beckett.
I do think it's this Shadow D-line that can sort of zig while the rest of this game is zagging in terms of play style. We've seen Amanda Murphy do a lot of dribbling, a lot of running around, and just when you're an offensive player and you're covering Murphy there, it's no fun to give so much effort to try to shut that down, as we see a nice cut from Matamore. Break side to Laura Garanser. Gauges the reset. Inside break to Tracy Lowe. Fantastic shot. Lowe laces a lefty forehand out to space, and defensively coming through Kikuchi for her second block of the point. Catching up on Rains. Impressive block there, as I'm sure T-Lowe was liking the window that she was thrown into there. Here's Wang around. Emily Kiver. Up to Mueller. Mueller without a great option downfield, swings it back to Wang. Jackie Wang taking a lot of the touches here. Far side, Kikuchi. There's a big mark from Beckett here. Wang gets loose up the line. Gainer to Korpinen. DC and flow now. Korpinen breaks around to Murphy. Near side. Driver swings back to Wang, covered by T-Lowe. A lot of heavy legs on both sides here, and I think the Shadow are pretty pleased with this opening point from their D-line. Lowe covering Wang, forces her up the line, throw off the mark, but Korpinen is there to collect it. Matamore looking fatigued on the mark there. Shot goes up from Wang with multiple bodies in the area. Garanser defending. It is Laura Garanser. Great defensive effort in a crowd with 2 tall receivers.
What are your thoughts on that kind of look? I can go both ways at this point in the game. It's early on.
I think DC is probably used to those types of receivers bringing it down, but that's one of the luxuries you have with a handler like Laura Garanser, who just brings a lot of stature and obviously one of the most experienced players in the league. She knows how to play that positionally. Shot goes up from Rains, deep to Mass, just overthrown. Indy Red's O-line is stuck out there in a grueling long point to start the game. Beckett covering downfield. Kikuchi swings back to Wang. Pick called in the stack. As much as we're at 0-0 right now, I feel like the outcome of this point could be crucial for the remainder of the game. I think if Indy's able to survive this early scare, they may stabilize, but...
Well, we did just watch a whole other semifinal where one team went down, 1-7, and brought it back up to, I don't remember, but quite close.
Sure.
3 points away?
Never quite able to get back in that game, though.
Reasonable.
There's Mueller, up line. Emily Kiver pumps the open look, looking for Murphy. Low throw, dug up under pressure. Murphy steps around, great mark from Mast. It's Wang winning the upline again. Around to Murphy. Gets it to Jackie Wang. Mast now marking. Pushes it further to break side. Murphy inside flick. Off the hands of Ellen Mueller. Oh
man, bummer.
Such a good possession, and Murphy delivers a throw that is not in her historical wheelhouse, but put it right on the money, and unfortunately receiver wasn't able to reel it in. Indy Red looking a little bit tired on their initiations. Here's an offhand high release from Lowe. Gets it to Rains. Tracy Lowe again. Beautiful around forehand. Here's Beckett. Mass cutting deep. Beckett sees far side option to Rains and launches a forehand, but it's just too far for Champ here. Corinne Rains. Versatile player for Indy. Been putting in work for them this year, but not able to connect on that one, and so another 80 yards to go for the Shadow.
I will say, I do appreciate that meaningful cut deep, because it with so many turns in the game, sometimes it's easy just to like try to win that little under, but it's going to be crucial to keep that offensive flow going. Someone needs to cut deep, so good on Champ.
Very curious to see if we see a timeout come out from the DC coaching staff here. Nice mid-ranged away pass from Wong, connects with Murphy. Here's Korpinen. Wong looking for the inside shoulder again. Loughran under heavy pressure.
You know, it's actually whoever rips it out first. Although I do think that was DC disc.
Yeah, I think probably tie goes to the offense there. Six and a half minutes gone. We're still at zeros on the scoreboard here. Moderate wind, but just a lot of grinding so far, to be perfectly honest.
I have a hot take.
What's that?
My hot take is if you're out for that long, someone might as well just give up and start over again. Just let it go.
Korpinen powers up the line. Wong pumps the inside, goes back to Kikuchi. And coaching staff finally pulls the trigger. We got a timeout from DC with 6 minutes off the clock, and DC and Indy without a decisive outcome for this first point. Do not know. So we're going to have heat timeouts after the 6-minute mark during this game. And I've got no idea if that'll be at the end of a point or if a timeout serves as a heat timeout trigger as well. There's that nice block from Garanser. Holds position against really Korpinen. Not easy to do. Indy pretty happy to hit that sort of upline space past the flat mark and just overthrown a couple of deep looks from that quasi-power position.
Number 13, Tyler Smith.
20 yards to go for an opening break for the Shadow with Tyler Smith on the disc. Hometown kid. Here's Ritzman. Double up line from McGuire. Back to Tyler Smith. Late fill cut here from Kat Ritzman. Little dish to Tyler Smith. A little bit of clutter, and it's Kat Ritzman motoring up the line on the give-go. Shadow cashes in their opening break. Only 7 minutes later, 1-0 DC. And we will go to a heat timeout right here. Much needed, I think, for the Indy offense. Amazing how 1 point can live so many lifetimes and can make us feel so many different things. I mean, it's a 1-0 game, and yet I'm feeling like DC is decisively ahead here.
I still feel like we haven't seen very much.
I mean, we've only seen like half the players in the game so far.
So ironically, we were expecting this later, but because there was a
My main takeaway, though, was that when the O-line for DC got back out in the field, they were really clicking overall. Just their ability to move the disc side to side quickly, not keep it in their hands for too long. And again, we've talked about this, but you know, remaining disciplined with the disc but not stagnant. There were some moments very early on of, you know, trying to figure out what the right look is to get momentum rolling, and then once it did get rolling, it was very easy from there. I'm very excited to watch that handler core operate together for DC.
Yeah, I think that is something that we've identified for both of these teams coming into this game, is that a lot of their strength comes from the backfield out. Both teams with multiple very capable handlers, particularly supporting their O-lines. And there we saw Tyler Smith primarily operating out of the backfield, but we will see Flores and Smalling both take on significant amount of touches in this game and drive the offense from the backfield. So here we have a largely different D-line from Shadow, with Murphy and Wong staying out. We will see very similar personnel group from Indy coming back this direction as well. I think this will be the slight upwind direction for Red, with the flags moving just a bit to the left of our playing field. Curious to see if Rachel Mass can get a little bit more separation from Murphy. That's going to be just a primetime matchup. Rachel is such an exceptional cutter in terms of creating separation, and you know, her throws are incredibly solid. She's a player who just does what's needed to win for her team. She's not gonna, you know, uncork giant hucks every single point, but she's capable of anything you could ask for her in this game. And so Amanda Murphy is one of the top defenders in the league. It'll be great to watch them go to battle here.
Yeah, I agree. I think if she can get out into space, stretch her legs a little bit more, and take up more yardage, I think that'll bode well for their team.
Here's Matamore, around to Tracy Lowe. Breaks inside. Just overthrown with the receiver open in the break space. That was Brittany Wright cutting for Tilo. And now Shadow walks it back up. Around to Jackie Wong. Close contest from Reigns. And DC on the move back the other direction. Mueller, Murphy. Now covered by Gerentzer. Murphy takes a deep look. Matamore covering, and it's Driver bringing it in on the far side. Back-to-back breaks for DC Shadow to open.
Really nice, and I'm certain that DC is very happy with Murphy taking that look overall. There have been moments across the season where I think the both of us have seen Murphy holster those looks, but in that mid-range zone, very close to the end zone, she's extremely capable at completing those passes with some really nice edge fading over as well.
Yeah, and there's a big vacuum of throwing talent on that DC Shadow D-line offense in the absence of Ashley Gentilette, and so Murphy knows that she's going to take a couple extra deep looks this game.
That was really nice.
Yeah, it's a great throw into the back shoulder fade space, just a completely unstoppable throw, and with the defender taking away at the underneath lane. So Indy Red trotting out a flex line here, largely D-line personnel, and they're going to need a hold to keep this game from getting out of reach early on.
Shadow set to pull.
Here's Jean Wong. Little transitional junk from the Shadow here. Wong over to Joe's. Down the line. Kuznicki. Back to Joe's. Has a long upline option. Riley Dixon going far side. Here is Eileen Beckett. And just out of bounds as the wind carries that disc out the back. Big time size matchup there between Beckett and I believe Kara Tinson. And Indy falling into a zone in transition here. Very interesting.
Love that choice.
They have leaned a lot on this zone throughout the season, and we will see how this D-line personnel for the Shadow are able to navigate this. This is historically something that not many teams are prepared for. Here's Jess O, working with Sydney Rader, another triangle-based player historically.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it feels bad when you get a block and then you have to play through a zone. Admittedly, it can be really fun, but that's just not necessarily the mindset that a D-line is always in. But they seem to be working through this pretty well.
Kikuchi reaches far side to Korpinen. Sydney Rader, Jess O, back in the middle, halfway there. Jess O again. Raider available. Things stagnating a little bit for DC. Here's Kyver.
2 minutes remaining in the first quarter. As a reminder, if you haven't watched as much PUL action, which admittedly for most of you is not true, but just in case there's anyone who come in.
Big mark of Dixon anchoring this zone in the middle, and Wong having to drop to stop contain Korpinen. Joe's releases Jess O, and DC content to take that reset option. Now, here is a little pass through, bobble by O, but maintained. Indy staying in their zone. Sydney Rader bluffs the hammer. Near side, Mueller. So 3-3-1 here from Indy with a flat wall in the middle. Far side shot from Tinson accesses Korpinen. No continue available. Dishes to Rader. And now matchup defense from Indy in the red zone. Rader wriggles up the line. Now 10 yards away. Jess O dancing, looks for the middle of the field. Dishes back to Rader. Really impressive stuff from this DC D-line. Rader on the inside lane. One pass to go. Rader up the line. Under heavy pressure. Tinson can't maintain possession, and Indy has life here. My goodness.
All right, so what are your thoughts here, Saul?
I mean, if this personnel from DC is going to walk it up against that type of defense, I think the Shadow should feel really, really strong about their control of this game so far. And timeout coming out from Indy here. So they will cycle their personnel after, and now we see 13 seconds on the clock. I think Coach probably needing to get her game managers out there to make sure they maintain possession here.
For the red, 13 seconds. They don't need to get the shot off.
My goodness, another game, another quarter where one team is fighting desperately to score in the first quarter.
Yeah, I mean, not much to say here overall. Yeah, both teams just battling it out, but I'm still waiting for some game-changing moment to actually occur, or for one team to feel like absolutely tested. To me, this feels like it's just shaking out the beginnings of an early game.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty interesting because in a USAU setting, this would be a 2-0 game, and everyone would feel like we're still just trying to figure things out. But in a timed format, this is a quarter of the game already gone, and pending this end of quarter situation, I feel like at least on the side of the red, they haven't really gotten any traction with figuring out whether their game plan is working or getting the types of looks they want from the DC offense. They've only seen a single red zone possession from the Shadow. So we see Wallace will start on the mark of Garanser here. That's a fantastic matchup. One of the few defenders who can match LG's length here. Got Matamore getting free up the line. Wallace blanketing Garanser, and then an inside break goes to the other receiver. It's Tracy Lowe with 1 second remaining, and now the red will hold for final possession. Mast goes to ground to catch it in front of Amanda Murphy. Nice grab there. And wriggles up line from Korpinen, but can't bring it in, so the quarter will end on that possession. And DC up 2-0 with all the answers for the Indy offense so far today.
I mean, that's not unexpected. hearing from coaches today, they're mentioning containing how they're going to contain this offense overall, locking in on some key personnel, playing tight around front of the disc. I think they're executing their game plan quite well so far.
It's a really significant challenge because I think that, you know, that first long point, Indy had some open deep looks that I honestly was a fan of myself. And when you don't connect on those things like you were mentioning before, it just makes you reticent to take that look. And in that case, for the Mast matchup with Murphy, I think that you need to establish the deep game to Rachel Mast in that matchup. And you're going to be a little bit gun shy about doing that. All right, we will go to a quick break and we'll be back for the second quarter.
I'm here at the Triangle Ultimate Middle School Championships, where over 30 middle school teams are showing us exactly what the future of our sport looks like. Local, accessible, youth ultimate. At the Ultimate Foundation, we envision a world where everyone has the opportunity to experience ultimate as a sport that inspires integrity, relationships, and belonging. Founded in 2014, we are the philanthropic arm of USA Ultimate. Our funding priorities are focused on fostering access, growing youth ultimate, investing in local communities, and supporting the Girls Ultimate movement and the Del Rico Johnson Fund. Our mission is to fuel a future for ultimate that is accessible to all backgrounds and identities by supporting USA Ultimate programs, partners, and communities. Let's stop sitting on the sidelines. Let's make the ultimate difference for the next generation.
This live broadcast is brought to you by the Premier Ultimate League. The PUL is a 501c6 nonprofit. This league has been community funded since day one, and we are so grateful for the support. We ask that you consider donating to help us continue to transform and fulfill our mission. Use the PayPal QR code on your screen or head to PULPremierUltimateleague.com to donate today. All right, second quarter off and running. Here's Sammy Smalling. First big field rep for the DC O-line. We see Flores, covered by Montenegro here. DC operating out in big space. Here's Julia Harris. Back to Tyler Smith. Back to Harris on the far sideline. Smalling motoring underneath to the far side with a nice deep cut from Lily Johnson. And Allie Wallace collects it with 10 yards to go. Forehand down the line. Here is Kat Ritzman for the goal. Easy as you like for the DC offense. That is one quarter later than they expected to get out on the field, but looking clinical.
And I felt relatively untested as well. You know, I think if Indy is going to stand, you know, a chance in this game, quite frankly, I think they need to apply more defensive pressure overall.
Yeah, Mary, just based on that one point, like, how do we accomplish that? How do we get there?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a piece here of playing touch tight downfield as well. I think the cutter defenders are close, but I think they can be slightly closer. Yeah, I think sometimes there just needs to be get into a rhythm overall of what that actually looks like. I was gonna say, like, you know, maybe you start sagging the lane or something, but with the prowess of the backfield, that doesn't actually feel accurate to me. But I will say, just a pure person across the board doesn't feel exactly right as a way to stop this team.
Yeah, we will see as Indy gets more chances to, you know, develop a little bit of traction with their D-line in this game, but crucially so, we're going to need to see the Indy offense get on the board here with their standard personnel out as Wong launches the pull. Indy out into their vert with low up to Garanser. early junk from DC. Here's Matamore. Lochran covered. Mast covered. Garanser up to Tracy low in power position. Big pump fake. Back to Garanser. Here's Kyver in coverage. Front of stack initiation from low. Garanser steps around. Makeda Matamore. Brittany Wright pumps mast, instead goes to Garanser. And then Lochran. Big connecting piece for this offense. Sydney Lochran back to Garanser. Big gainer. Rains goes to ground to make the play. Great catch from Champ. Back to Garanser, 10 yards to go. Rains picking the stack. Now, this looks more like the Indy offense that we have become accustomed to this season. See if Lowe can create some separation here on Korpinen.
I do think Korpinen has been doing quite a good job not conceding too much yardage when Tilo does get the disc overall. It's going to be important.
Smooth switch there, and Tilo delivers the inside to Makeda Matamore for the first Indy hold of the game. Now that's more like traditional Indy offense, just navigating through their vert stack, LG catching some swings, stepping around for yardage, and just finding their way to chip through with, 5 to 10 yard passes and persistent, honestly, just cuts, just cutting with a lot of legs and energy. This is a group of 7 who tends to operate best on their 3rd, 4th, and 5th attempts at the point in terms of challenging their defenders. So it's good to see them operating more like themselves at that point.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I hope does not happen is Indy missed a few deep to start this game. I hope that does not mean that they pull back or get gun shy in that way. I do think if we get some of those bigger athletes out into space, continue to hopefully get into a rhythm in that way, that's going to help them throughout the whole course of the game, even if they miss on a couple to start.
Yeah, curious to see if the shadow start to mark in a slightly different way. At that point, the red were able to just sort of swing off that trap line with ease, and that's where they have a lot of success, is when they swing side to side so easily. And we will see if shadow asks them to work in that strong side lane, cutter to cutter, more often. Here's a zone from Indy, 3-3-1. Tyler Smith over to Kira Flores, has an option in the middle with Ritzman. Dishes to Smith. DC moving forward pretty well so far.
I mean, they could just do this all the way down the field, considering what the zone's giving them.
Far side option.
Here's one of my big pet peeves. One of my big pet peeves is when you have a very saggy zone and you don't step up to take a couple yards and you continue to lose yards. I'm not saying DC is doing this. I think they're doing a good job overall, but I think there's still opportunity to kind of push that space, push that boundary that you're being given.
And I mean, Indy is intimately familiar with the reads of this zone. They've been playing it all year, and I'm curious to see if they get more aggressive on those crashes that you're describing, if DC starts to get into a rhythm there. Smith drops back, and now DC back at their home end zone. No way over to Flores. Tyler Smith. No real option down the field here. Lots of players around the disc. Now Ritzman over to Smith. Has a really long crossfield option with Katina Russell. Ritzman asking for the crash. Smith, no option in the middle. There's just a big old space in the middle. Ritzman finally fills it. Now DC off to the races, but missed thrown, and it's Eileen Beckett, her first intervention this game. Jean Wong picks it up. First break chance for Indy, and this would go a long way. Mylink, stoppage with a pick here. Curious to see. I think I would expect Indy to let this D-line rock, but this would be an opportunity to call a timeout if we're getting into the later stages of the first half, and they got 2 to burn. Mylink. Here's Jean Wong under heavy pressure from McGuire. Nice inside break, but dropped, unfortunately, by Dixon. Smith looking to move quickly. Far side option. Russell, McGuire, McGuire has Flores. Now Indy back in the zone. So seamless, really impressive stuff from them. Obviously, this has been a big feature for their D-line all season, but the ability to fall back into it in transition is not something every team can do. See Ritzman getting open again in the middle of this defense. I think that is a space where Indy has shown some weakness so far. Smith nearly bobbles on the crash.
I really quickly, I like the way that Indy is playing this zone overall. Like, you have those two folks in the wall area, but they're not static. They're not just staying in one area. They're looking to see where the actual threat is, and they're looking to give up as least yardage as possible as that player is moving laterally. I think this is one of the reasons why DC is feeling like they can't actually gain much momentum, because those players, as you can see right there, is doing a really excellent job.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. Usually you try to attack a zone from the middle of the field, but feels like this defense is at its strongest with the disc in the middle of the field at times.
It's almost counterintuitive when I see like a wall zone.
Close pass through to Ritzman again. One of the players who's been able to actually gain yardage against this defense, and now Flores is displeased with the defense on that crash from Mylink. No contest, as DC has about 30 yards to go. Here's Tyler Smith. Positive again to Flores. Halfway through the second quarter. Flores, Smith. Ritzman draws in the defense, but defense drops back out once she goes into negative space. And now DC walking backwards a little bit. Russell. Flores covered on the crash by Mylink. And then a backfield turnover. Thrower and receiver not on the same page, as Smith unable to snag it with the left hand. Gene Wong picking up with Beckett uncovered in the deep space. Shot goes up, but just overthrown. Two receivers in the area with Dixon and Beckett.
It is, I was going to say that's the downwind area, but the wind has changed slightly. I'd say it's crosswind.
Yeah. So that forehand, the nose of that forehand just getting pushed down as the wind goes from the far stands towards us in the near stands. I think that's a look that Indy's happy with, but possession's at a premium here in this game. And, you know, as we watch this zone offense, we're at 3-1.
Right.
And as much as it feels like DC is complete control of this game, a turnover and a break here, we're at a 1-goal game as much as DC has had the better run of play so far. Here's Tyler Smith in her own end zone. Ritzman. Always useful to have a left-handed player on this side of the field, as she can access that inside out lane a little bit easier.
Don't give away the secret, Saul.
It's a big secret. Nobody knows it. Here's Tyler Smith, padding her stats. Nice breakthrough to Flores. Little bobble. DC moving positive here.
More of those throws,
yes.
I think. I think the DC has ultimately been not necessarily looking off, but not taking advantage of that window that opens up that really helps unlock some of the lateral momentum afterwards.
And I think, you know, it's one of the laziest tropes in the game, but I think on this point it's pertinent. These front layer defenders for Indy are getting so tired. And the more they just move these defenders around laterally, I think the more success they'll have in terms of finding holes in this defense. So looks like a potential transition to matchup defense here as they float one out to Allie Wallace. McGuire available, but couldn't find her. Inside option, and it is Inoue for the goal, and 4-1 Shadow lead, feeling titanic compared to a possible 3-2 scoreline if that counterattack huck hadn't gone too far.
That took like a year off my life.
Yeah, goodness gracious. This is a different pace of play than our first game of the day.
Yeah, and you know, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, right? Right, watching this game, watching a zone, I know a lot of folks or viewers at home tend to not necessarily want to watch a zone. It can be seen as potentially more boring overall. But the amount of tension that can truly build throughout the point, if you buy into it, it is really compelling.
And I think that, you know, when you're playing excellent matchup defense against a team, it can be can be really challenging to overcome, but I think when you encounter a zone that you just have no answer for, it feels like you can almost more sustainably generate breaks against the other team, because it's not like you need individual execution from a specific player covering, you know, a specific opposition offensive player. When you operate in a zone as sort of seasoned as this Indy 3-3-1, I feel like the defenders learn how to pick up for one another when there are small errors in execution, and so getting that hold against that zone for Shadow feels very important.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say, the one of the worst feelings to me playing the game is when you're in a zone and you're not on the same page, and it gets broken very quickly, or you know, you don't know at which point what could be fixed. But clearly Red has a very well developed and well executed, well trained, well rep zone. Probably feels good playing it too.
Anyone who knows me knows that I love zone defense.
Oh, I know. All right, I also want to give a shout out to Indy Red, because of all the teams at Champ Weekend here. Indy Red has the most dense fun fact list for all of their players here. I will say Eileen Beckett's is a little light. It says, I have 2 tandem bikes, very cool. But some of these other ones are very compelling, and I'm excited to read them out later.
What a tease. Stick around, folks.
Oh, you want one now? Okay. We should play like a guess who.
All right.
Okay, so
feed me.
Who sang for 10 years until they got nodes? And yes, that is a real thing.
No, it's like Pitch Perfect?
Correct.
Who sang? Let's say Corinne Rains.
Incorrect. It is Risa Umeno.
All right. Well, maybe she can hit that bass note now.
Apologies.
All right, so coming out of the heat timeout, we have standard Indy O personnel. If I'm not mistaken, I think Sydney Loughran's doffed the gloves. Wong on the pull. Good yardage. Low up to Garanser. Matamore off the front. Looks like a call on the stack. Somebody took a run at Rachel Mast on the pull coverage, it looks like.
A little bit of extracurriculars in the stack by the looks of it.
Rachel working out her shoulder. Hate to see that with her recent injury history, although she's a couple years clear of that at this point. I think I need Makeda Matamore to take on a little bit more responsibility or you know, production here. I think she's a really important integral member of this O-line, and so far she's been quiet and not as productive yardage-wise as we're used to seeing.
Sure, I do think that's a big piece of this team identity, though. To me, it doesn't feel like there is anyone who is asked to necessarily be more than anyone else, per se, sharing the weight. I'm not saying in practice this happens, but pretty equally overall. But I totally agree. I think to win this game, you need some of your stars or your star players who have more experience to be able to take up those yards.
Here's Garanser on the break side. Inside lane 2, Matamore. Pump Saunders. Got Murphy on Garanser in the backfield. Interesting matchup there. Far side, Mast under pressure from Mueller. And no call coming in. Wow, very, I guess, clean play there. Quick switch in the lane, and shot goes up to Murphy with Mast in recovery. Floating, and it is Mast on the backside. Murphy not able to bring it in. Little conversation, but no call, and disc back to Red. Couple of hard workers there. A couple of close calls, and no calls coming out from Murphy or from Mast.
You know, I respect it. I deeply respect it.
Flat mark on Tilo from Wong. Stepping around, taking the contact. High count here. Spreads the forehand wide, and it's intercepted by Tinson. Stepping in front of Loughran. Jackie Wong in for another DC break. 5-1 Shadow.
Ooh, some little twinkle toes on the end zone.
Goodness gracious, what a fantastic defensive possession from DC. Strong mark from Jackie Wong preventing Tilo from accessing those break side cuts, and then it was a late wide swing looking for Loughran, and I mean the size on Kara Tinson and her ability to, when she is able to pick a straight line to contest a pass, she is
potent?
She's extremely potent. That's a great word for it, Mary.
Thanks,
you.
I learned that from you, Saul.
Oh my goodness. Looks like we got the same O-line trotting back out there for DC, or for Indy, excuse me. Beckett out there. Brittany Wright out there for this point. So far, you know, there continues to be a lack of cutter-to-cutter production for the Red. They're getting yardage from big field switches and connecting passes, but those players like Mast and Matamore have not had much success throwing to their fellow cutters, and I think part of that is, I mean, just what I'm seeing is DC has maybe some size matchups in the downfield space with Tinson, with at times Mueller, and Kikuchi has had a big game so far, so we will see if they can right some of that. A little bit of a stoppage here. Junk defense from Shadow around this vert. Garanser to low. Offhand back to Garanser. Korpinen falling into matchup defense on low. And a low throw from Garanser, and Reigns can't bring it in. DC looking to put another break in here.
That would be tough. I won't lie. That would be a tough situation for Red going into the half.
33 seconds remaining, and DC coaching staff not messing around, burning their last time, or I believe that's their last time out. I think that's their second, but scoreboard says otherwise. Regardless, I don't know if they'll have time to use another one, even if they got one.
Yeah, I will say I do appreciate, and I think we've talked a little bit about this. I do appreciate how the DC coaching staff, no matter what the outcome of the game is, no matter what score they are very deliberate with the opportunities that they have to play on the field and compete and get better together. So I appreciate that timeout call overall, and I think it'll bode well for them.
Yeah, we were, I was calling a home game that you were playing in, Mary. It was...
Really?
It was Radiance hosting the Shadow, and it was probably a 3-goal game with something like 20 seconds remaining. And the coaching staff on the DC sideline said, no, we're getting our money's worth, and they threw the timeout flag and got another rep with the O-line out there. So I would expect nothing less in this format, especially with an opportunity to go into the half. I mean, this has been a completely incredible defensive performance from Shadow so far. 1 goal and a half from an offense as disciplined and as productive as Indy is. I mean, they're doing something right there.
Yeah.
And we're back in.
That's interesting. That's interesting, it being an initiation from the second in the stack before the first has even moved.
Here's Flores.
25 seconds.
Smalling motoring for an upline.
Huge grab by Smalling.
High release around to Flores. 15 seconds till the end of the clock. Smalling looking at some stagnation in the stack. DC just trying to possess here. Sammy Smalling.
One thing I appreciate that Sammy Smalling does is when she's getting a reset, she goes to a different position. She does not settle for something right behind or that's not going to change the outcome of this point. And you're seeing her before do that again.
Smith about 12 yards out.
Big upline cut from Smalling, and Tyler Smith delivers it. 6-1 DC as we head into the halftime break. DC decisive so far.
Ladies and gentlemen, DC Shadow take a commanding 5-point lead. Shadow 6.
All right, Mary, before we throw to break, anything that strikes you about this first half so far?
I mean, I think DC is playing the game that they want to play. Like, they're built very largely, in my opinion, around being tenacious defenders, tenacious one-on-one defenders. I think they like their matchups. I think they're doing an excellent job. We'll see in the second half if this ends up holding up overall, but based on what we've seen from DC throughout the whole course of the season, I would expect it to.
All right, folks, we will take a quick break here. Please join us for the start of the second half in about 10 minutes. DC Shadow up 6-1.
continuing to pick up.
Welcome back to this second semifinal of PUL Championship Weekend. My name is Saul Yannick here with Mary Rippey. We are of a slugfest of a first half between DC Shadow and Indy Red. And DC set to get us started with a pull for the second half. Indy Red and their offense need to get off and running here for them to have a chance of coming back in this game.
And we're back.
Here's Low, a little transitional defense from the Shadow, now falling into person defense. Wide pass to Matamore. Goes back to Garanser. Wide look to Reigns as Saunders going away. Garanser, no switch available. Centers it back to Reigns. Far side gainer to Shirley Saunders. Nice gainer there. Matamore available, but a flat mark from Korpinen stops the continue. Back in a flick force now. Reigns dishes out to Garanser. FM from DC in this vert. Rachel Mast. Back to Reigns. Little breakdown there defensively. But contained. Mast bobbles. And Jess O with a swat from the right hand. Another turnover from Indy and DC on the counterattack now. Amanda Murphy has Kikuchi downfield. Backhand give go. Jess O in power position. Has a receiver going. Marika Korpinen And this is a
Little too
dangerous end zone that we've seen throughout the day. The wind just pushing it towards this near side back cone. So Jess O probably liked that look, but the wind at her back in that situation, and DC back on defense now.
Yeah. Specific in that very specific spot. It's led to a lot of overthrows.
Garanser picking up on Coffin Corner with 80 yards to go. Low flush out of the backfield. Inside shot missed, and it is a no way to clean it up. Good backfield defense that entire possession from the shadow. Oh, back to a Noah around it. Jess O. Amanda Murphy has an option in the end zone. It is Rebecca Driver for the opening break of the second half. DC Shadow picking up where they left off. No answers for this Indy offense.
Yeah, and I think one thing that DC's doing exceptionally well is their ability to contain Tracy Lowe at the front of the stack. As expected, they're playing underneath, they're playing tight, but once Tracy Lowe isn't open, there's a lot of stagnation that occurs, ultimately leading to those turnovers. What are you seeing, Saul, when you look out there?
Yeah, I mean, that first long O point for Indy, we saw them accessing that space in the shadow of the mark from the front of the stack, and then misfired on a couple of hucks, and since then, it has been more of a challenge. So you see Garanser here with, not able to challenge that Kikuchi mark, particularly with the wind sort of swirling in her face. And I mean, that's an area of the field that can be either incredibly challenging or an area of strength, sort of conventional wisdom as you want to swing the disc to the break side of the field to play offense. But with a mark occupying so much of the lane, Indy has really struggled to access the downfield lane in that situation. And so, the first possession of that point, we saw DC in a forced middle, and I think that might be sort of leveraging that concept that DC has identified so far, as we see a bit of a mixed personnel out here for Indy Red. Pull ends in bounds. Murphy poaching this near side lane. Garanser to Low. Low unmarked for a moment. Reigns, far side. Brittany Wright. Continuation of Mast. Pumps the look to Beckett. Now Beckett available on a big under. Mast covered by Murphy. Shoots free on the open side. Now a gainer to Garanser. Has Beckett in the deep space. A lot of options down this near sideline. Murphy matching Mast extremely well. A lot of cutters offering this near side. Back to Garanser, wants to swing. Matamore available just through the pressure from Kara Tinson. Picking the stack. Beckett able to get that open, but maybe not without a little bit of help.
I like that Rachel Mast has been getting more touches this point. We're seeing her go through different layers of the field. I will say, when you have a defender like, when you have a defender like Amanda Murphy guarding you, being able to evacuate the backfield a little bit quicker might be more advantageous.
So here's Indy Red going into the end zone for their second goal of the game. Matamore to Laura Garanser. And the Red D-line going to be back out there for only their third point of the game. Now, such a strange dynamic in this game. It feels like it's well out of reach for Indy, but a 5-point margin is a challenge, but not impossible. But the rate at which they can put together these basically goal-scoring possessions has got to speed up for them to have a real say in this game, I think.
Yeah.
For both of these teams over the course of the year, they've played set structured ultimate and based largely around, I think, possession greater than finding ways to create a goal-scoring play, if you will. And so I think for Indy, they've got to start identifying ways to create a goal-scoring play on top of their comfort with maintaining possession, just because we play this timed game in the PUL.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the desire to do that goes way down when you have someone who is consistently on your back the entire time. It makes every movement feel like it needs to be the right movement, or every throw feels like it needs to be a throw that actually does something for the offense overall, even if that is just maintaining possession, and that it feels like that is exactly what their offense is doing.
Yeah, so here we see Indy out in their typical zone. Got a 3-3-1.
Zone look is back.
Mark on the sideline from Joe's. Smalling trying to find a soft gap in the middle, but Smith sacrificing about 10 yards. Smalling. Don't think she was out there for their last point against the zone. Seems eager to be involved, but already backpedaling all the way to their own defensive end zone here.
This is the thing about Indy being able to pull out their zone right now, is that I like it structurally, but being down by 5 right now, I'm not sure that this is going to lead to the opportunities that they're hoping to with this time.
Yeah, just a matter of how you think you can most quickly turn over the DCO line. So, I mean, we've seen almost no matchup defense against this DC offense so far. Just hard to make any decision like that when you're not holding consistently. DC now out of the shadow of their own end zone. Nice one-handed grab from Wallace. Dishes to Ritzman. Flores. And I mean, this DC O-line just has so many capable disc distributors. It's going to be hard for any team to find a consistent out in terms of creating a turnover from them. Got Lily Johnson lurking on that far sideline. Smalling through the middle to Flores.
I thought she was going to have all that space in the end zone. I didn't see the defender.
Flores reaches with the blade over to Wallace. Ritzman offers underneath. Back to Smith now. Matchup defense now in transition from Indy. Wallace goes negative to Smalling. Continues to Smith. Mylincoln coverage. Smalling. Wide open up line cut covered by the mark. Ritzman bluffs the inside to Wallace. Now hits it. Jean Wong in coverage. Mylincoln coverage there on Smith, and now a switch with Wong. Inside shot. Here's Lily Johnson's first touch at the point, potentially of the game.
Love that kind of field switch. Upward momentum with the pop-out.
Flores looking for Smith all the way around the world, and she drops it in. 8-2 DC. Indy bringing out the zone, but DC comfortable all the way down the field 80 yards later.
What do you think about person matchup, pure fronting, see if you can get a first throw turn?
Yeah, I mean,
do you have any confidence in the ability to then march it back down the field?
Right, I mean, that's the right question. I certainly think that the evidence available to us so far is that DC is in a comfortable area, and the only way for you to change the sort of the trend of this game would be to make a big decision defensively, whether it's fronting, whether it's something on the mark. But you have to factor in whether your group is actually going to walk it back the other way and score. And
absolutely.
I think that that's a really interesting point. I think my idea would be, the first thing is you have to get the disc from them. You can use a timeout if you need to in order to score, although you've put up 2 goals so far.
Can't do it every time.
It's really hard. You don't necessarily want to allow DC to put their defensive personnel out there because they've done such a good job of slowing down the traditional Indy O-line. So, I mean, it's a catch-22, and the reason these questions are so hard to answer is because DC has had such good control of this game so far, and they're up by 8-2 and halfway through the third quarter. I don't know if I've ever seen a defensive effort like this in the league, at least in my experience from watching. 2 goals on an offense like this. Here's Loughran on the far side. Bluffs a huck to Mast. Now Lowe gets free, open up line, and pumps a big crossfield backhand look. Tinson with another block. Long up line looking for Shirley Saunders, underthrown.
Shadow picking off.
Sydney Raider to pick up for DC here.
A homecoming of sorts for Sydney Raider.
Wonder
we
if,
need not forget.
Sydney's played a game or 2 on this field. Nice double move. There's Kyver. And she brings it in over Garanser. Unbelievable.
I almost thought that the disc stopped rotation in just on a plate up there.
Here's Jess O. Back up to Kyver. Kyver up to Mueller, far side. Tinson in the lane. Now Korpinen underneath. O available. Little cluttered in front of the disc here. Korpinen fights for an upline.
Nice
runs through body position on Matamore. Oh, pumps Raider. Shot goes up to Korpinen, and she brings it in with one hand. Another break for DC, 9-2.
I like that whole progression from Korpinen there. She catches it on the sideline, recognizes, you know, that there isn't an option there, and perhaps this isn't the best place for her to be, and immediately looks to swing it off. Give and go, hits the end zone where she's perhaps more stronger there. I think that's excellent. Also want to note that Corpenden's only been playing for, what, 2 years?
Oh, gosh.
It's really impressive.
Sky's the limit for that player. So here we are at the second to last heat time out of the game. DC just in firm control here, finding success with any personnel group they seem to throw out there. Seeming to mix up their looks defensively to some extent. Some transitional stuff and some flatter marks, some directional, but I'm just not sure where this Indy Red side is going to find offensive success if, you know, Low misfired on that away pass going in this near side direction. Haven't found any success attacking this far end zone. My bias is just to throw it deep to your best player.
That's kind of what I was thinking too. There's also, I think there's a little bit of sometimes taboo around just like throwing it deep and seeing what happens and willing to take the turnover. But I will say, when you're down this much, there's a little bit of wind. Playing a possession game might work out better in your favor, especially if you can throw that zone after a turn. I can see that being an asset in some way.
Mary, as we start to cautiously think about a finals matchup between DC and Philly, what are you seeing from DC so far today, and what would you need to see from them for the balance of this game to make you feel like they have what it takes to take down Surge tomorrow?
I think I'm already seeing the makings of that happening overall. Again, that defensive intensity. I will say I'm seeing DC doing an excellent job around the line of scrimmage, at the the front of the stack. Philly does have some bigger players overall. I think Ashley Gentilette returning will be big to help contain those players. But I would love to see not just turnovers deep, but I would love to see players on DC actually make more consistent plays when the disc is in the air against Red, for me to feel really confident going into the finals. Not that I don't already, but that would definitely level it up.
Such a fantastic point to bring up. They're playing one of the best defensive games I've seen them play in the absence of arguably their most impactful defensive player in terms of total blocks, total plays that actually change possession. Obviously, this is a DC team built on incredible fundamentals across the board, but Gentilette's just a game-breaking player, and the fact that they have executed to this extent without her is a special effort, and she will be, assuming that they carry this through. Looks like offside on the pull from DC. A little pump fake from their puller.
Yeah, I also think Amanda Murphy's been, unsurprisingly, been doing an excellent job on Rachel Masfat this entire point. Able to match her step for step, just tight person defense, but also her ability to orbit, read the space, take away different spaces. Once Mast is clearing, not in an active space anymore, just continues to set her and her team up for success.
Yeah, agreed. Here we see junk defense from the shadow against a primarily D-line personnel from Red. There's Jean Wong. Reaches with a forehand, looking for Beckett, completes it. Nice grab from Eileen Beckett. Now back to Wong. Montenegro up the line. Far side, nice grab. Under heavy pressure from Murphy. Big pump fake. There's Risa Umeno involved there. Now it's Berkeley Humphreys back to Wong. Inside forehand. Just off the hands of Montenegro. Jean Wong, clear intent that point to drive the disc down the field and just not able to connect.
Those are the points you need to complete. You need to score. No fault I'm going to place on either player necessarily, but I love that they were attacking deep. They connected on that deep throw, and it hurts to not see that work out. But
floaty ball and what a grab! Kara Tinson Have yourself a game.
Unbelievable focus.
Right, like in the absence of Ashley Gentleman, maybe it's Tinson right now stepping up.
Absolutely. Here is Kara Tinson now operating against this Indy D-line personnel. Kyver reaches for Murphy. Beckett in pursuit, but Murphy, it's a perfect throw from Kyver. Mueller back to Murphy. Tinson gets loose, but unable to bring it in, just off her fingertips. Great DC counterattack there, just left wanting at the very end as Wong will walk it up to Coffin Corner on that far cone.
3 minutes remaining in the third.
Big deep vert stack here from Indy. We'll see if they can get loose in the backfield. Montenegro. Cutters being passed off downfield. Wong into power position.
Like that.
And timeout from Indy.
Sure that's a timeout.
One of their 2 timeouts out of the pocket so far. 2:47 to go. We're about 9 minutes into this third quarter and still without a goal on the board for Indy.
We'll see how many O-line players stay on, how many fresh bodies come out for these.
Mary, you know, we would usually see a scoreline like this in incredibly blustery conditions or, you know, the rain or anything like that. There is some wind in this game for sure, but I think this is mostly the low scoreline, I think, is mostly a byproduct of consistent and diligent defensive positioning from the shadow. They've just been huge on the mark and taking away all of the typical action that you would normally see from the red in terms of ability to gain yardage and then actually create goal-scoring passes as well.
I mean, we're just seeing this on the replay here, but I like that there are different players also looking to stretch the field deep with their legs, with their throws. You need to be dynamic as a group in order to continuously keep that margin of error wide. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
To keep the margin, you know, up high. And I really like that DC is able to do that. I also, yeah, there's just something about watching this DC team and even playing against them. I think they really thrive when they're getting to play gritty defense overall and turning that into offense. We did listen to Jess O, though, have that interview saying that, admittedly, she is only out there playing defense to play offense, but it looks like there are a lot of other players that are maybe taking a different approach.
Here's Garanser. Good D from Wong on low in the backfield. High count situation. Snagged by Beckett, pressured in the backfield. I believe that's Diocampo. Masked. Breakside continue to Tracy Lowe. Has Beckett going. That goes up. A little underthrown in that upwind direction, and it is Avery Diocampo coming up with the block as Jackie Wong will check it in for DC. Big swing around to Jess O. Corpinen offering in deep space. Here's Driver. Beckett tries to come through. Good pressure, and Diocampo unable to make the play. Disc back to Indy. Back in their vert stack. Swing to Mast. Pumps Lochran. Space pass. Low running underneath it. Beckett open again. Lobs it up there. Here is Eileen Beckett. Makes the play just short of the end zone.
I love that from Tracy Lowe because that was an exceptionally clear adjustment from the prior throw.
Indy Red on the board here. 1:40 to go in the third quarter. 9-3 shadow as Indy finally breaks through in this third quarter in this upwind direction. We will see if their D-line can make something happen here. I think that, I mean, Indy's got to find their deep game in order to win this game, I think.
Yeah.
I think DC is going to ask them to make that
I mean,
pass.
they are asking them, though, consistently.
Yeah. And so far, the pressure in the backfield has been good enough where the Indy handlers just have had no ability to access power position in the way that Lowe was able to at that point. And the Cutters haven't shown a willingness to stretch it with their throws when they're encountering this downfield positioning from DC.
I will say, I think this is one of those moments where I feel like Makeda Matamore could be exceptionally impactful, being able to stretch the field. I mean, I don't quite know her size necessarily, but she's not the tallest player and yet is so dominant in the air. I think her being paired with some of these other bigger throwers on the team could really help out. I also really like that Rachel Mass has been more around the disc. Like, she's had some really good connecting throws and have opened up space specifically to Tracy Lowe and let the team access the deep space.
Big pull by the red.
Big pull from Mylink coming out here. A rare shadow O point. Starts with Smalling up to Tyler Smith. Early junk from Indy. Flores thinks about the pass through the middle. No rush here from the DC offense. Harris back to Flores on her own goal line here. Back to Tyler Smith into their own end zone. Smalling. Back to Smith. Has a wide option to Julia Harris. Pump Smalling on the crash. Walking backwards here. Oh, just a fingertip on that from Joe's.
I was gonna say, I'm not a firm believer that the zone is gonna win them this game. However, if that was a hand block and they can do that consistently, I could be wrong.
Pass to McGuire goes awry, and here is a short field for the red. Need to punch this one in.
I sure hope I'm wrong.
Here's Mylink up line from Wong, and Indy has their first break of the game. Unbelievable. All right, 41 seconds to go. We're at 9-4. Crazier things have happened, Mary.
Name one.
Name one. 2017 college semifinals.
Uh-huh. Tell me, say more.
Jack Williams.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, man. Obviously, the clock is not.
He put the team on his back.
Oh, man. Kids,
Sorry,
kids these days are too young to know about that event that happened 9 years ago.
That was 9 years ago?
It was. This
Holy
is 2026.
Cow.
So, Indy down 5. Comeback starts with winning this end of quarter situation. DC throwing out pretty vanilla O-line. As vanilla as it comes with this stacked roster.
Hey.
Looks like Wallace out there. As the main substitution from last point.
The linchpin.
That's what they call her. Ali Wall linchpin.
Yep. Correct.
Pull comes out from Graber. Clearly going into this upwind direction. McGuire unable to stop the roll, and so we will start this possession with DC trapped on the sideline. Looks like matchup defense from Indy Red. We see Beckett covering Ritzman downfield. That's a fascinating matchup. Flores misses the window to Smalling, and Beckett spills on the ground as Ritzman gets open underneath. Little pop out to Flores from her lefty thrower, Ritzman. Now Tyler Smith overthrown in this downwind direction, and Indy back to the counterattack with 30 seconds to go in the quarter.
I'm looking for Beckett here.
Jean Wong launches a backhand. Eileen in the area. Allie Wallace there. Beckett brings it down. Unbelievable. Space pass. Montenegro has an option to Beckett in the end zone if she wants it, and it goes up. Here's Ritzman. Eileen Beckett for the second break in a row for Indy Red with 12 seconds remaining in the quarter.
That's kind of what I expected in this game.
Eileen Beckett, she is a special player. Just dominant. I mean, the game is a very interesting and nuanced, multifaceted game. When you got a player like that, it's a simple game.
I was watching her in some of their warm-ups, talking to their coach there earlier today, and in the background she had this incredible grab, and I was like, oh, it's going to be like that, isn't it?
Oh, my goodness. She's going up and over Allie Wallace there. Love this throwing decision. India's had just no success going back to their sort of standard system type play. DC is clearly incredibly dialed in on their line of scrimmage play, and what DC hasn't had to contend with is a receiver like that playing offense for this Indy team. And so, again, a crucial end of quarter situation here. DC just needs to escape this quarter with a 4-goal lead and settle themselves down, because Indy is flying right now. Mylink to pull downwind.
Here we go. Big pull by Mylink for the red.
Just stays in bounds. We got Smalling to Tyler Smith.
Smith with it is, 10 seconds.
Smalling up the line. Little thrown behind, brings it down. Here's Ritzman with time expiring.
2 seconds.
DC will finish the point with possession.
Close with possession. Stick with the dish.
Switch downfield involving Mast. DC looking much more like themselves this point.
DC wanting to double it up. Make it
Need Sammy Smelling to stay involved here. Mast almost with a pawn there on Julia Harris.
about 13
Smelling
yards
gets
out.
moving up the line again.
Nice one by Humphries.
Flores asking for it. Here's Tyler Smith, Julia Harris. Wide option to Johnson.
Loughran.
Myling staying with Tyler Smith. Nice seamless roll, and there is Julia Harris. Oh, with Beckett lurking. Here's Julia Harris for the goal. She is the leading goal scorer for the team, second in the league in goals this season for the goal scoring specialist.
All right.
Nice stabilizing hold for DC Shadow there.
Second semifinal.
And that will bring us to the end of the third quarter. We will go to our last break of the day, and we will come back with DC Shadow leading 10-5 as we enter the fourth quarter.
At 11 a.m. in the championship game.
The Discraft Ultrastar is the official disc of the Premier Ultimate League. Discraft, the world leader in disc sports. This live broadcast is brought to you by the Premier Ultimate League. The PUL is a 501c6 nonprofit. This league has been community funded since day one, and we are so grateful for the support. We ask that you consider donating to help us continue to transform and fulfill our mission. Head to premierultimateleague.com to donate today. This live broadcast of the Premier Ultimate League is brought to you by Breakmark Ultimate Apparel. Go to breakmark.com to place your next custom team order or check out the PUL Athlete Collab Shops. Founded in 2020, Discover Diversity creates spaces where Black players can show up fully, play freely, and experience a genuine sense of belonging, especially within Ultimate Frisbee. Through intentional events and playing opportunities, we center community, leadership, and joy while celebrating the talent and resilience of Black players. Our goal is to expand access, champion collaboration, and inspire the next generation of athletes. All right, Mary, our last quarter of the day on the horizon. We have DC receiving from Indy
Oh, boy.
right here, with DC attacking in the downwind direction. Looks like Kat Ritzman in a fight with a bee.
I think Kat's going to win that one. I hope she does.
It will be very interesting to see what the defensive approach is here from Indy. They've had their most success slowing down DC with their zone, but as we've talked about sort of ad nauseum here, when you're trailing, you don't have all the cards in terms of defensive tactics. So we will see what the adjustment is from the Indy coaching staff after they got just a little bit of daylight from that DCO line at the end of the third quarter.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's a saying where, you know, if you're going to lose, like you're going to lose your way. But I personally would love to see them mix it up a little bit as we go into this zone.
This is Kat Ritzman on the near sideline, sacrificing 7 yards back to Tyler Smith. Flores back to Smith, far side, Manoe. Now Allie Wallace dishes back to Tyler Smith, has a weak side option with McGuire, goes to it, and it's Eileen Beckett just underneath it, but McGuire's reception just affected enough.
I would just like to say, every time I criticize the zone, something great happens from the zone.
Myling back to Jean Wong, inside shot, able to hit Beckett. Here's Joes, has a deep option. Instead it's Kuznicki. Pivots around. Pick called. Great opportunity for the Indy D line to open this quarter. I mean, let's be perfectly honest. This is a 5-goal game. They have to score here. Nice mark from Inoue. Wong inside. Continue option. Cut off by the mark. Wong. Break side. Joe's left-handed grab.
I feel the antsiness.
Nice swing here. Kuznicki. Back to the break side to Joe's. Indy trying to access the break side lane to score. Lefty back into space. Rescued by Gene Wong. Still it's Joe's on the break side looking to score. Inside flick connects. Unbelievable. Riley Dixon for the opening break of the 4th quarter. Indy has flipped the wind once again, and they will pull going downwind, down 6-10 with 10 minutes remaining.
Even in them, I mean, I think that was a really good little, like a microcosm of what DC has kind of been asking them to do. Is they're getting to the flat side in certain points and then really struggling to connect downfield. Again, end zone, very different situation, but I think that also showed how DC is playing their defense, both with their marks, with their reset defense, and then also with how they're guarding folks downfield.
And it was good reset defense from Shadow, but Gene Wong would not be denied that point. Just really good execution on that inside forehand from Joe's. Ellie Joe's, known as Jello, to those back in the Midwest. Last time we saw DC attacking this direction was the most successful point for the Red in their zone, with DC backed up all the way to their own end zone and back line. So we will see if they come back with the zone here. Brittany Wright on the pull. Fresh legs out there for Indy. Matchup defense here. This is Julia Harris. Goes back with the lefty to Tyler Smith. Wind affected that one. Smalling gets available underneath. Forced backhand from Indy. Flores covered by Montenegro. Nice grab under pressure. Again has Harris available. Here's Matamore out there defensively. Power position for Flores on the backhand side. Now counters it back to Tyler Smith in the middle. Ooh, a little bit off target, and now Smalling reaches the end zone. Beckett. Oh, what a grab. Lily Johnson coming through with unbelievable pressure defensively, and DC puts a stamp on that one. That hold may win them the game right here. My goodness.
I didn't even consider the possibility of a Beckett-Lily Johnson matchup.
That's fire.
I love that.
All right, back to a 5-goal margin with 9:17 remaining, and Indy with the task of marching upwind. We've been asking for matchup defense all game, Marion. As soon as
or has it been me? I think I've been wrong.
I've been supportive of the shift to matchup defense, but
good.
I think the Shadow are just a little bit too comfortable there. And there is, I have noticed a pattern over, at least in my experience, if you run a lot of zone with your team, it can be really hard to get your players engaged individually defensively when you switch the matchup defense in a big moment. I think it was different personnel there for Indy, so it wasn't necessarily asking the same group to totally shift perspective defensively, but the Shadow just looked so comfortable out in space with their handlers running off of their throws and Sammy Smalling just connecting everything there.
Yeah.
Indy's offense is going to need a really, really decisive hold to keep things going in their direction.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I really liked through that point with Smalling is her ability to not only break the mark, but throw driving throws past the mark. I mean, you saw that for the goal score right there.
Low. Near side, here's Reigns. Low gets free in the middle. Big shifting mark. Now Garanser has Reigns available. Inside shot instead to Matamore. Matamore hits Mast, has Saunders. Arcing backhand around, and it is just over the hands of Reigns, unfortunately. It was Indy's best offensive possession of the half, and just a wind-blown disc over the receiving hands of Shirley Saunders there.
I know it's a turnover. I don't hate that look. I wish that those looks would have come earlier in the game so that we could all calibrate.
Running forehand from Wong just overthrown as Indy now with a short field to attack this upwind end zone. Need to see Rachel Mass get involved here. Oh, just a misconnection between Lowe and Garanser. That one hurts if you're an Indy fan. I'd like to see Jess O probably stretch the field with a throw here. Need Korpinen going deep. There's Wong in power position. Some clutter in the backfield. Garanser tries to undercut that swing pass to Kyver. Hand block from LG. Ooh, close call. Maybe disc still in her hands, but we will see if the observer has anything to say about that.
There's something an observer told me once about the flight path of the disc when it leaves your hand,
Sure.
right? Like if it flutters, then it's most likely to be an actual block. I hope I didn't get that twisted.
Here's Amanda Murphy involved. Off the fingertips of Marika Korpinen. And Tilo walking the disc up. Indy, now another point where their legs are getting very, very heavy. Kikuchi playing behind Rachel Mast. Now slides underneath. Low, unable to break the big Marika Korpinen. Now she punts it. Oh, just over the fingertips of Mast. Tracy Lowe just not getting the option that she wanted there and had to settle for yardage for field position. Kikuchi. Jess O getting involved. Back and forth with Jackie Wong. Close bid from Rains. Wong reaches with a backhand around. Loughran and Murphy.
Goal.
It is Amanda Murphy.
Dang
Oh,
it.
just off her fingertips. Her old teammate jinxed her there, Mary.
Oh man, I was so ready to be excited.
6 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. I think DC feeling very comfortable as the odds swing in their favor here with yet another very strong defensive possession. Garanser can't hit Mast on the break side. These DC marks have been such a problem all day for Indy. Breaks around. Matamore, very nice shot from Tracy Lowe. Lowe to Rains. Now Indy finally out in space. Garanser available but not accessed. Matamore, low option. Loughran
Wow.
makes the grab. Great catch. Inside shot, just overthrown. And DC walking slowly to the disc. Wouldn't be surprised. Coach has got the flag in his hand.
Come on, coach. If I'm a D-line, I'm saying, take me out.
Jess O as a well-established offensive player. I'm sure she's disappointed to see that potential timeout called.
All right,
And
we
here
see
it
it.
comes.
There it goes.
4:44 remaining, and DC looks to have iced this game away with this defensive point.
One of my favorite, maybe demoralizing bits playing PUL is, you know, like, you can quickly learn if you're the player that the coach does not feel comfortable with you having the disc by the amount of times. And that didn't happen in this situation, but have some running jokes with some teammates where if they're holding the disc in a certain situation, you know you're getting that whistle call.
Oh yeah.
Or the flag.
Timeout called, 1 or 2 throws later, everyone realizes it. Who's to say who had the disc when the timeout was called?
Yeah. I used to be really salty as a PUL player when I get called off the field, but more of like a badge of honor. You did the hard work. Get these other folks out there.
All right, so we see a bit of a split stack look from the DC offense. Beckett in coverage on Lily Johnson down the field, and a little bit of bracketing help off stage from Indy. Montenegro and Flores in the backfield. Smith pumps the deep look to Johnson with Beckett in coverage. And now hits the under, and Beckett nearly there for the block. Those two are just special athletes. Smith far side to Flores. DC now out in spread offense. Foul on the mark.
That underthrow from Tyler to Tyler Smith to Lily Johnson. There is a world in which Smith, maybe 5 years ago, would throw that deep, regardless of the outcome. I don't know what would have happened in that situation, but I like seeing that difference.
Another contact call. Getting a little heated.
Kira Flores with a tactical foul call as the clock runs. I think if you're the Indy player, this foul has no bearing on the play whatsoever. You just got to tap it in and play.
Saul, have you ever been in that situation, done that strategically?
It's just game management.
Talked for a little too long just to drain some time?
You know, I'm going to plead the fifth there.
Yeah, good choice.
Sure there would be some guys in Atlanta who would have a strong opinion about that.
All right, we're in on foul one.
Here's Kira Flores. Has break option to McGuire. Instead goes back to Tyler Smith. Now she has McGuire in the middle of the field. Lateral cut from Inoue. DC just working up the field, not in a rush. Flores motoring into power position. And just underthrown.
Chooses to do a split, too.
Julia Harris collects her second goal in recent memory, and things are looking well decided at this point, 12-6 DC. It'll be interesting to see tomorrow with a DC-Philly matchup, as Philly operates so much in horizontal spacing, and Indy is so devoted to their vert stack. Like, I think the one thing I would consider from the Indy side, maybe midway through this game, is if you can throw in a bigger variety of initiating sets to throw DC out of their defensive rhythm, because they've been able to just sink their teeth into this Indy vert stack. It'll be interesting to see how DC prepares for a very different offensive approach from Surge, where they're out in big spaces, letting Maroon and others make bigger cuts, throwing cutter to cutter.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fully of the mindset that if you run a specific type of offense and only that one type of offense, you get so comfortable guarding that type of offense. It's the same as if your defensive mindset is like, you're going to be flat on the mark in front. You get so comfortable playing against other teams that do that as well. So, I'm also curious to see what happens in a likely potential DC Philly matchup here. But also, who's to say? Maybe they've been absolutely grinding those stack reps in their practices.
As the final heat timeout of the day comes to an end here, we will see a lot of players getting, this looks like a depth D-line for DC. What a privilege it is to have athletes like this on their depth D-line. Players like Murphy getting the point off here. It is hot out here on this turf, I must say. I worry a little bit about Indy's heat acclimation relative to the teams from the Southeast. If you can call DC
I was going to
Southeast.
say, am I going to look silly saying, well...
There is
but it's swampy. It's so muggy up there,
There is
dude.
a very significant difference between the Midwest over the summer and in the mid-Atlantic sort of Southeast region.
Yeah.
I don't know if that factored in today as much as the other things we've mentioned, but...
I mean, it's 86. It's pretty high on this turf. It gets really hot.
Yeah, for sure.
Heat timer coming to the end. We've got just under 3.5 minutes remaining in the game. Right, Red looking for some final scores.
Okay, Saul. Let's say you're coach of the DC team. Let's paint that picture.
Okay. Which coach am I?
You're David. Let's say you're David.
Okay.
How are you treating the next 3 minutes of this game?
It looks like they're out in junk defense here. Some transitional. I think your team is just clicking on all cylinders right now. You don't change a thing. You just throw out the folks Obviously, if you got someone nicked up, you don't play them out there at all. Save their legs, save their health, but I think at the end of the day, you just run your sets with your players who have got legs to give. This is Garancer. Back to Mast. A little double cut in that same lane on the far side. Tracy Lowe. Big around flick looking for guess who. Oh, what a grab. Kara Tinson goes up and over Eileen Beckett. That is unbelievable.
She's had some excellent
This is the
plays
game
this
of her life. Inside flick just off the mark looking for Kyver. That's not what she's going to be thinking about at night when she's in her bed tonight, though. Garancer,
jump
Mast,
in. Yeah.
Twinkle Toes into the end zone. Pick called in the stack.
Okay, real quick. Here's my second or third, fourth, whatever pet peeve. Is when you're so close to the goal line and you don't do what Rachel Mast did and you don't jump it in. You can get so many free yards. Go work on your broad jump. I swear. Like,
got to be uncovered to do that, though. A lot
Well.
of players will get run through blocks trying to milk that pass into the end zone with a defender on their back.
I mean, that part's reason. Oh, I thought you meant you were going to jump into someone and that's a foul, which is go with the player safety angle.
No. This is Garancer. And backwards to Mast. Indy with a lot of double cutting this point. Going the wrong direction. Now Garancer gets him back into
Nice.
positive momentum and around for Marines to T low for another hold for Indy Red.
That seems so much more confident and quick and fast than I've seen the team play. Well, that's not true. I'll take that back. I think just that execution on the break side has been so much more confident than I've seen in the big field.
I think just a little bit easier attacking this direction with the wind at your back. I think they've had a lot of trouble attacking the mark when they're going in that upwind direction.
So reasonable, yeah.
Love this look from Tracy Lowe, but
Agreed. Wow.
can't. Oh my goodness! Never seen Beckett get bested in the air like that so far this season in their
Neck and
games.
neck.
Mary, I will say, and aging myself, 5 years ago, UDL semifinals against Chicago. One of our best receivers tried to lay out, toe the front line, like you're saying.
Yeah. Was this Jacob Fairfax?
It was Henry Fisher.
Henry Fisher. Call him out.
And
Call that man
Drew
out.
Swanson, who at the time was playing for Chicago Union, got an incredible layout block because Henry was trying to get his toes back to the front line.
Yeah.
So it's always a read in that situation.
Okay, yeah, I will push back on you and argue and say that maybe don't turn your back necessarily. Like, yeah, that's a dangerous situation. But if you have forward momentum, just take advantage of as much as you can.
Yeah.
Without cheating.
Don't cheat, kid.
Don't cheat, kids.
Here's Julia Harris on the far sideline. Has Johnson on a lateral cut. Nice shimmy to open up the around lane.
I'm begging for someone to throw it to Kat McGuire.
Kat McGuire, this is a former Indy Red player from last season. Should be a fun game for her, playing against her former teammates. Flores moving into power position, as she's been wont to do. Oh, little dish pass. Knocks the hat off the head of number 2, Katina Russell. And 1 minute remaining. Indy picking up on Coffin Corner. We got Mast out on the field with this D-line. Shot goes up from Wong, looking for Beckett with Smith in coverage.
Wow.
Big two-handed grab from Eileen Beckett, easy as you like it. Joes with the disc. Now back to Wong. Rips it deep, picking the stack. This should go back as much as I believe that Eileen would make the play, regardless of whether there's a defender there.
Oh, and a
big hammer.
That's
So
so
Eileen
funny.
Beckett, track and field background based on what we've been told. I wonder if she threw anything in her track and field days.
Yeah.
A javelin, a hammer perhaps?
This is the, I don't know, person who's supposed to know all the fun facts. I wish I could tell you.
Wong takes another deep shot to Beckett just off of
my
her hands as she goes to the ground.
I will say I would have loved to see this earlier in the game.
Gotta have possession to throw it deep to Eileen, unfortunately. But I completely agree. Here's Kat McGuire with 20 seconds remaining. Tyler Smith with 10, and Wide pass to McGuire. Just goes awry. Indy with the clock stopped at 8 will try to have the last possession of the game here.
So Red to pick up here with about 5 yards from the sideline. 8 seconds on the clock. Again, and there's no buzzer beater here. So there's by possession. So
As another really impressive season from the Indy Red comes just short here in semifinals.
not quite in.
This will be the end of the clock.
That's the timer.
Joe's under pressure from Johnson. Tipped on the mark from Lily Johnson. Unbelievable effort with the game decided. It'll be Riley Dixon bringing in with a 12-8 victory from the DC Shadow. Incredibly comprehensive defensive performance. And tomorrow we will have Philly Surge and DC Shadow. We will have an undefeated PUL champion this year.
Wow, that's exciting. Or is it too boring? Oh.
I think tomorrow's final will be anything but boring.
ABB, baby.
All right, Mary, any final thoughts from our games today going into tomorrow?
No, I mean, you know, I'm obligated to say high level of sportspersonship out there. Really excellent plays. It's very motivating and compelling to see the growth of some players and teams who I've watched over the past few years. This has been a really great opportunity.
Tomorrow's final will be at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We will see you guys there. Thank you for tuning in. This has been semifinals day at the PUL Championship Weekend.